Welcome to the mythical creatures.
It is also assumed, according to the hypothesis of proponents of the theory of catastrophes, that comets and the traces they leave in the sky could serve as the beginning of legends about fiery snakes in the sky. In Old English, comets were sometimes called firing draken, which can be translated as flaming dragons. Volcanic eruptions may also have helped to strengthen the belief in the existence of dragons, although eruptions in European and Asian countries were rare. Similar to European dragons, but with multiple heads, they emit flames and leave traces of fire behind them during flight. In the culture of the Slavs and related peoples, dragons are often associated with evil. They are often called by Turkic names such as Zylan, reflecting the long-standing conflicts between Slavs and Turks. The Tatar dragon Zylant is depicted as a winged snake and is a symbol of Kazan. In general, the Zylant is a Russian interpretation of the Tatar dragon, that is, a snake. The Siberian dragon Yulbagin has features similar to European, Turkic, and Slavic dragons. Chuvash dragons, including Vera Selene, are part of the pre-Islamic mythology of this republic. Scandinavian and Germanic dragons, such as Lindworm, are depicted as large snakes with 2 legs. Although in fact they are closer to winged dragons, it was believed that they fed on cattle and were associated with the sea. But seeing Lindworm was considered an auspicious sign. Another Scandinavian dragon, Fafnir, who was killed by Sigurd, was actually a giant snake called Orm, worm, in ancient Norwegian. He didn't have the ability to fly or breathe fire. However, the dragon killed by Beowulf was a classic European dragon capable of flying and breathing fire. The Welsh dragon, known as Ydraig Gach, is represented on the Welsh national flag and is a traditional symbol of Wales. It is described as a large snake that lives in swamps, often attacking herds of sheep and pigs. However, several shepherds were able to finish him off quickly by going hunting for him. Hungarian dragons, known as Sarkanyak and Sarkanikigio, are giant winged snakes. Sarkany is a grown-up pet who often uses Garabansiasak, a special kind of magic. Sarkanikigio is able to control storms and cause bad weather. These dragons can also take on human form, often being giants with multiple heads. Their strength is in their heads, and if they lose their heads, they become weaker. The Romanian dragon, known as Belor, strongly resembles the Slavic snake. It is large, has many heads. In Austrian mythology, there are dragons called Quelebras, Quelebra. These are giant winged snakes that live in caves. They guard the treasures and kidnap the nymphs known as Hannes. Quelebras can live for many centuries, and when they get old, they begin to use their wings to fly. Their breath is poisonous and they often hunt cattle for food. The name Quelebra comes from the Latin word colubra, meaning snake. Basque dragons such as Haransuj and Sugar in Basque folklore symbolize powerful creatures that have taken the form of dragons. According to legend, Saint Michael descended from heaven to fight Haransuj, but only after receiving a blessing from God. Mikhail was scared of this creature. One of the gods of Basque mythology, also known as Maju, was often associated with the image of a snake, although it could take other forms. The Indonesian dragon, known as Naga or Nogo, is a mythical creature in Indonesian mythology that penetrates almost all the islands of this country, especially those that are influenced by Indian culture, similar to its Indian roots. The Indonesian Naga is seen as a divine being in nature, benevolent and often associated with sacred mountains, forests, or certain parts of the sea. In various parts of Indonesia, the dragon or Naga is depicted as a huge snake with a golden crown on its head. There is a belief among some peoples of Indonesia that Nagas still live on undiscovered mountains, lakes, and active volcanoes. On the islands of Java and Bali, dragons are presented as ideal creatures sent by the gods to maintain the well-being and prosperity of people. Some locals claim to have seen this legendary creature and perceived it as a favorable sign. However, if the dragon communicated with them, it was considered a warning of trouble or failure. The Chinese dragon, known as Long, is a light creature with a long, serpentine body that combines various features of other animals. Most of them, although not all, they don't have wings. This creature has 4 claws on each paw, 5 on the imperial emblem. They are perceived as lords of weather and water, as well as symbols of power. They can hold dragon eggs in their paws, although, according to some sources, it may be pearls. The Japanese dragon, called Ryu, resembles Chinese and Korean dragons, but has 3 claws instead of 4. They, with the exception of some, are usually friendly and can grant wishes. They are rare in Japanese mythology. The Vietnamese dragon, known as Longo Balor, has a lot in common with the Slavic snake. He is huge and has a lot of heads. Austrian dragons such as Quelebra have bodies curved like 12 waves, symbolizing the 12 months of the year. They are able to influence the weather and are responsible for the harvest. Horns are placed on their backs, and their heads are decorated with a long mane and beard. They have large eyes, a crest on their nose, but no horns. Their mouth is always open, with a long, thin tongue, and they hold a jewel in their mouth, symbolizing humanity, nobility, and knowledge. The Korean dragon, known as Yong, is essentially similar to the Chinese Liang. Like Liang, Yong and other Korean dragons have power over water and weather. Kyo is a hornless ocean dragon, sometimes known as a sea snake. Regarding Indian dragons such as Vyali, Vyali, and Naga, there is a dispute as to whether Vyali is a real dragon. It was discovered in ancient temples dedicated to the goddess Parvati. The Nagas, on the other hand, are the main dragons of Indian and Hindu mythology. They are magical snakes that live in the water, and their king is crowned with a golden crown. The Nagas are closely associated with the Buddha, especially with the god Vishnu and his incarnations, Dasavataras. In one of the myths, Krishna, as a baby, fought with a Naga who held the water of the lake. The Central American dragon, known as Amphitrite, is a winged deity who takes the form of a snake. He was credited with the ability to transmit knowledge to mankind, but sometimes he was also perceived as a symbol of death and rebirth. Amaru is a dragon, sometimes called a snake, in the Inca culture. The last Inca emperor, Tupac Amaru, had a name that translated means dragon of God. The Brazilian dragon, known as Boitada, is a creature resembling a dragon, sometimes a snake, in Brazilian culture. The Chilean dragons Cacavilu and Tintinvalu are serpent-shaped dragons originating from the Chilean island of Chiloé. Cacavilu was a sea god, while Tintinvalu was a land god.
Thanks for watching. It will be nice to see you again in the world of mythical creatures.